Hey, it's Ethan here at eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Hollywood Rack's Destination 4-bike rack and how it fits on our 2022 Chrysler Pacifica. This is going to be a platform style bike rack, a very good entry-level way for you to get up to 4 bikes, up to 35 pounds apiece where you need them to go. It's going to hold on to our bike primarily with these rotated padded clamps on our center mast here, as well as one strap on the back and one strap on the front. So we do make frame contact. Although it's not pushing directly down, we still wouldn't recommend using carbon frame bikes just because it does still have that potential to damage the frame while you're driving. And for some weird aggressive alternative shaped bikes, it should work because we do go up and down that center mast, but there is a limit to it, so just be mindful of that as well. One unfortunate thing about the rack is that because of just how it's designed, it doesn't have the ability to tilt away with the bike loaded up. So if we want to get into the hatch, we're going to have to get our bike removed. But I do want to point out something about this bike rack before we get into that. This is a mountain bike and it is on the larger side of what this rack can handle, but it is still within the wheelbase requirements. But you can see with our handlebars here, they are very, very close to hitting our rear window. So once you hit the brakes or going up hills, over bumps, anything like that, that shake is going to drive these handlebars into that rear window. So we wouldn't recommend driving with it in this position. This is just sort of an extreme case to show you that this is a possibility with this rack. In any case, we can go ahead and get this bike removed and get a closer look at how the rack performs. So I'm going to start that just by getting this front strap off here. Just press the gray button, release the strap, come to the back strap here and do the same thing. The straps are also padded there to protect our tire, which is a nice little feature. And now I'm going to try to wrap my arm around the bike while I do this next step. And just the way we had it set up, it is going through the cup holder, which is just a little bit annoying, but it's mostly fine. Just a matter of trying to get the leverage to get that strap out while you're protecting the car from the bike once it's loose. But once we have it out, we can get it up and off. And I'll set this off to the side. In the meantime, you can look at the shape of the rack and just how it angles down on either side with that sort of wing design. That's just to allow it to accommodate different wheelbases, in this case up to 48 inches. Taking a closer look at the front cradle, you can see that there's nothing crazy special in here. There's no different grooves or anything like that. The maximum tire size that that's going to be able to support is going to be 3 inches. I'm going to put these straps away, and we can also get this center mast loaded down. From here we can take just a quick look at the clamps and how they rotate, and you can take a look at that padding on the inside as well. To get the center mast folded down, first going to start by unthreading this hand knob here on the side till we get to the point where this catch plate releases, right about there. And now we can take the center mast down either way. I'm going to go towards this way, and we're going to try to use this clamp here on the mast just to sort of keep it down in place. You can use one of these, or you can use this strap here on the cradle, either way. But from here, I'm going to work on getting some measurements so we can see how much distance we're adding on to the back of the car. It is going to be a decent bit because we are getting 4 bikes on a platform rack. So from the bumper to the furthest point out, in this case, it's going to be about 30 inches, which honestly isn't terrible. We have some 4 bike racks that take up a lot more space than that. But with that, you don't get quite as much room in between bikes, so there does have the potential to be more bike contact while you're moving. As far as ground clearance goes, because we do have that angled design, that's going to be closer to about 15 inches. Once you start weighing this down with 4 bikes, that's going to lower as well. We have a decent rise overall, but the Pacifica does still sit kind of low, and the more you add out onto the back, the more potential you have going up hills or over curbs to bottom out. But I think we have enough of a rise here. In our case, that's not going to happen. If we want to, though, we do have the ability to fold the rack up. From here, we also would be able to get hatch clearance if we needed to. So we're going to pull that clip out, unthread this hand knob here on the side. It's going to hang down. We can step back to the back, fold the rack up towards the vehicle, find where those holes realign on the shank, and rethread that knob. and then replace the clip. And I'll get a couple more measurements now to see what we're looking at. So as far as the closest point goes, it's probably going to be the center mast depending on where you're able to fold it. So that'll vary a little bit, but in our case we still have about 2 inches there. And as far as the distance we're adding on now, it's going to be closer to 11 inches, so we do save a ton of space this way, and I would recommend folding it up if you're not using it. But again, another downside of having a 4-bike platform rack is that it is a little bit bulkier and it is going to take up some space and cover up some things on the back of your car. So your license plate is here in the middle. There are some windows and some gaps where you should be able to see that pretty well, but it's going to be pretty partially or heavily blocked. Our backup camera is right here in the middle, kind of the same thing. It's shooting straight down at the center of our trays here. There's going to be windows where you can see if there's cars or people behind you, but it's definitely going to let you know that there's something back there. It's just kind of wide enough that it might interfere with the insides of your taillights just a little bit, but nothing crazy. And it does sit low enough that it doesn't really interfere with our rear window. As far as how it fits into the shank, we'll take a closer look at that right now, or how it fits into the receiver rather. It does have a 2-inch shank that fits into our 2-inch hitch receiver. It's held in place by a 3/4 inch anti-rattle bolt with the lock core on the end to secure everything in place. So it does a really good job of taking all the shake and play out of the rack, and it locks as well, so you get that extra bit of security. So as far as it goes, the Hollywood Rack's Destination 4 is a really nice entry-level way to get 4 bikes where you need them to go. The alternatives are going to most of the time be a little bit bulkier and a little bit harder to work with, but you could also look into something like a hanging style rack, something like the Curt Premium maybe. It does have the ability to get 4 bikes where you need them to go. Also going to make frame contact, and hanging style bike racks aren't everyone's favorite. They do cause a little bit of sway. Your bike's going to be sitting higher up, so you might see them out of your rear window. So again, if you are just looking for a solid, nothing complicated, nothing's too difficult to work with way to get 4 bikes wherever you need them, the Hollywood Rack's Destination 4 is a nice choice. This again was just a quick look how it works and how it fits on our 2022 Chrysler Pacifica.
Now we're going to go ahead and take it on our test course. First we'll start with the slaloms. This is going to show the side-to-side action. It's kind of going to mimic the movements that you'll see whenever you're driving down the road normally. Now we'll have the alternating speed bumps. This is going to be more so like the uneven roads and some of that uneven terrain you might be traveling on, and see how it holds up.